Mao Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Sundari
Okay.
If you're Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for all of you for coming today. We already had a treat from His Grace Mukundadatta Prabhu. So, who's 13-year-old here? 13-year-old? Okay. What kind of classes do a 13-year-old go to usually? Soccer, right? And some other basketball. But when he was 13, being born in a Catholic family in Southern California, he enrolled himself in a Sanskrit class. And why? Because before that he read the English translation of Bhagavad Gita, and he found that that was not Prabhupada's translation. He found that there is something, missing in this translation. I want to know what is the root. I want to learn Sanskrit to learn the root of this book. Learn this book in Sanskrit. So isn't that a great thing? If we had a national spelling bee in Sanskrit, Prabhu would definitely win it. So after that, he got initiated by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada in 1975 when he was 15. Probably one of the youngest in the group, and you can imagine a 15-year-old taking initiation, committing himself to a path which is not very well known. At that time, ISKCON was not known, it was just taking roots. So Prabhuji has done a lot from then on, and right now he and Mataji are staying in Vrindavan. So Prabhuji has translated books of 6 Goswamis. Who are the 6 Goswamis? Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Goswami, Gopal Bhatta. Good, we all passed. Just we know the names of the Goswamis. Prabhuji has translated, retold Goswami's literatures in Sanskrit into English. He is also an editor of Sanskrit and Bengali into English in the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. And Prabhuji also is a part of Shastric Advisory Council of ISKCON. So I don't know how fortunate we are to have such a person accessible and also available to come to us and share his realizations. So we are very, very fortunate and blessed by the Lord with this association of his dear devotee who has dedicated his life. So Prabhuji has stayed in many temples and many different services he has done. And so he came to Sadhu Sangha. In fact, he introduced the organizers of Sadhu Sangha to ISKCON. So, and also Prabhuji has learned classical Indian music. You can see that, right? From the way he sings and plays the harmonium. So we are very fortunate to have you here with us, Prabhuji and Mataji. So let's say 3 times Hari Bol.
Mataji name also.
So Mataji is from Mauritius. Also, spent a lot of many years in dressing deities in many different places, including Los Angeles temple. She has her deities now and traveling and doing a lot of service in Vrindavan. Shri Murti Mataji. So Hari Hari Bol 3 times to Hari.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Yeah, look.
Some water.
husband wipes face out.
Actually, when you
I handed it to her.
You handed it to her?
In her hand.
Okay. Book, song.
People need to work.
Yeah, because the TV is behind.
I put it in a group. You can all Google Kabe, Bolo lyrics. Kabehebelo lyrics.
Because we need the lyrics to follow.
hridoyete ani. Sahishnuta-guna hridoyete ani.
sung by Srila Prabhupada, but it's a very nice song. He says, Kabe Bolo se-dina amar aparadha ruci, nama-rasa-sar. Hridoye sancar. Please tell me, when will that day be mine, when my offenses will end and a taste for the pure holy name will be infused within my heart by the power of divine grace. And trinadhika Kabe sahishnuta-guna hridoyete apani. Sakale manada apani amani nama-rasa-sar. Can you take this harmonium, please? He says, considering myself lower than a blade of grass, bringing the quality of forbearance into my heart, showing respect to all, and myself being free from all false pride, when will I taste the essence of the liquid nectar of the holy name? Dhananjana kobita-sundari, deho-sukha-kari. Janme-janme jao, o he gaura-hari, ahai bhakti charane amar. Wealth, following beautiful women as described in worldly poetry, I do not want any such bodily pleasures. O Lord Gaura-hari, please give me unmotivated devotion unto your lotus feet, birth after birth. Kabe kurite sri-krishna-nama pulakita deho-sukha-kari. Baibarnya-bepathu habe sancar. asru-dhar. When, while articulating the divine name of Sri Krishna, will my body be thrilled in ecstatic rapture and my words be choked with emotion? When will pallor and trembling occur? And when will streams of tears flow constantly from my eyes? Kabe nama-dipe suradhuni-tate, gaura-nityananda bole nishkapate. Nachiya-gaya berayo-chute, batuler pride, charya-vichar. When in the land of Navadvip, on the banks of the Ganges, will I run about and calling out, O Gaura, O Nityananda, without any guile, dancing and singing like a madman, giving up all mundane considerations. Kobe Nityananda mori kori daya, charaige mor vishayar maya, vyamore nija-caranera chaya, hridoyete deho-sukha-kari. When will Lord Nityananda be merciful to me and release me from the illusion of worldliness, giving me the shade of his lotus feet? When will he allow me to enter into the marketplace of the holy name? Bolo pibo hari nama-rasa, nama-rasa-mati haribo vibash, rasya rashika charna parash, koryama jibo rasya-nivar. I will buy or plunder the mellows of the name of Hari and become thoroughly intoxicated with those liquid mellows of the holy name. When will I become stunned by touching the lotus feet of the great souls who are able to relish those mellows? I will be constantly immersed in the sweet nectar of the holy name. Kabe jive-daya hridoye, nija-caranera suddha bhakti vinoda korya-vinoy, kobita-sundari. When will there be an awakening of compassion for all fallen souls? And when will this bhakti vinod, forgetting his own happiness, with a meek heart set out to propagate, by humble entreaty, the sacred order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? There's a footnote. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this instruction to everyone. Bolo Krishna, Bhajan Krishna, Koro Krishna Shikha. That means chant the holy name of Krishna, worship and serve Krishna, and learn about Krishna from Vedic scriptures. That's from Chaitanya Bhagavata. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying for this. This is a prayer from his Saranagati collection of poems. And he's praying exalted state of pure devotion. What's the first thing that has to happen before we get pure devotion? Huh? Removal of anarthas. What are some of the anarthas? Unwanted, unartha, doesn't serve your purpose. What is your purpose? Do you even know your purpose? If we don't know who we are, we can't know our purpose, isn't it? And we don't know who we are. Everybody's born into this world in ignorance, like animals. Abodha jata. Yeah, there's a lot of noise back there. And we ignore, therefore, the purpose of life. Purpose of life is to at least realize who you are. But once we understand who we are, then we know what needs to be done and what needs to be taken out. Which plants we water, which weeds we pull out. So anartha nivritti is that process of removing the unwanted things that obstruct our own purpose. Anartha. And one of the chief anarthas of all is the first thing that he mentions here. What is it? I'll read it again. Amar, aparadha, ghuci means to clean out all the anarthas, or all the offenses against the holy name especially. Suddha-name ruci, and to develop a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. Kripa-bale hridoye sancar. When will that change of heart take place, that I actually decide to do it? Because we hear about this week after week, and we don't do anything about it. Year after year even. Lifetime after lifetime, we're doing this. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam kripa-bale vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma durlabha. It takes a while before we can understand, really deeply appreciate Krishna consciousness. It takes a while. We don't really have that much gratitude for what we've been given because we don't understand it. That's why we don't practice. That's why we don't realize much. We're just not that interested. This is unfortunately the situation with almost everyone in this world. And by default, that's what we get. So kripa-bale, when that glance of mercy falls upon us, hridoye sancar, then our heart may change. He says it again later on in the same song. Gaura-nityananda mori kori daya, charaibi mor vishayar maya. When Lord Nityananda becomes merciful to me, only then will I be able to give up all this illusion of vishaya. And he's praying, Diya more nija-caranera nama-rasa-sar. We've heard the instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bolo Krishna, Bhajan Krishna, Krishna Shakha. If we actually do that, then we can actually begin to think about seriously practicing devotional service and also preaching devotional service. So he's saying here that if you give me the shade of your lotus feet, then I may have some adhikar in the matter of spreading the holy name. He calls it nama-rasa-sar. What does it mean? Nama-rasa-sar.
Marketplace.
Market. It's like a...
Marketplace.
How do you purchase the holy name? With what currency? Rupees or dollars? Shraddha. That's the currency in this marketplace. How much faith do we have? If we analyze honestly, we'll see we don't really have that much faith. So where do we get the faith from? If we associate with those who have faith. What is it that determines who's advanced and who isn't advanced? All Vaishnavas are all dear to Krishna. They're all exalted souls. But who's considered more advanced and who's considered less advanced? Initiated devotees need not reply. How do you tell? You have to know who to listen to, right? How do you tell? If someone has deeper faith than you have, that person you should listen to. even that's not so easy to see in the beginning because everything is just a blur. Everything is dark. Just like when the sun, especially in UP, in the morning, it's very foggy often, and you can't see anything. But when the sun gradually comes out, the sun burns away all the fog, and then hote sab kuch sparsh ho jata. You can see something. But this is our present situation. We don't even know who to hear from because we can't tell whose faith is deeper than yours. We don't know the symptoms. Why? Because we're not hearing anything. Have to at least listen and hear seriously. Try to take something in and purify the intelligence in that way. Then when we practice Krishna consciousness, we may get a glimmer of some appreciation for what we're doing. And then he says here, when is there any question of spreading Krishna consciousness or preaching Krishna consciousness, helping someone else become Krishna conscious? Janme-janme koro-para-bhakar. This is stated in the Chaitanya. When you've done yourself a favor, then you can do someone else a favor. Let's all repeat this, please. You can't give what you don't have.
You can't give what you don't have.
One more time. You can't give what you don't have.
You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah. One more time.
You can't give what you don't have.
This is what he's talking about here. When Nityananda is merciful to me, then I can just, all this Vishaya Maya stuff becomes unimportant. Paltry, tuchhavat, word is used in Sanskrit. And then we can think about actually doing anything to help someone else. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to have, he said something. I saw this quote on the desk of my respected elder godbrother, Gopika-Ananda, who has since passed away from this world. But he said, if you don't really have a deep taste for the holy name and you cannot give up sense gratification, then just sit down in a room by yourself and preach to your own mind. That's the first step. So this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going through all these things, and he's hankering, he's honest with himself. He realizes that I don't have this kind of ecstasy, that when I chant Krishna's name, then tears are flowing from my eyes and I'm trembling in ecstasy. These symptoms are there in great souls. You want to hear something that you may not have heard? In 1975, I think it was, Srila Prabhupada went from America to Caracas, Venezuela. Raise your hand if you've ever been to Caracas, Venezuela. I don't think so. Not nowadays, at least. In those days, it was, maybe on somebody's map, but nobody's considering going to Caracas, Venezuela from North America. Nowadays, we're more interested in Niagara Falls and, learning Cobra and other such things. But Srila Prabhupada took it upon himself as one Indian who listened to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he made it his business, even at 70 years of age, to go to a place like Caracas, Venezuela. And you know what happened when he got there? What did he see? He went to the ISKCON temple, and all these South Americans very blissfully welcomed Srila Prabhupada by chanting Hari Bol, Krishna, Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada looked at them, and then he looked at the deity of gaura-nityananda, and he just could not contain his ecstasy. He just could not contain it. Because he recognized not only has Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed his mercy to every far corner of this earth, including Caracas, Venezuela, of all places, but I'm assuming this, he must have recognized simultaneously he was the person who made that happen. By divine grace. And it can only happen by divine grace. He took the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seriously. What is that order? Jare dekhe tare kaha Krishna upadesh amar agnai guru hai atar edesh. Whoever you see, you deliver that person by repeating Krishna's instructions. In this way, become a Shiksha Guru, deliver the whole land. So Prabhupada did that. And when he saw these South Americans all chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada just went into ecstasy, and Shruti, my godbrother, told me this story because he was his personal servant. Let's listen. This is important information that you took birth to hear. You have no purpose for taking human birth except to hear this. When Srila Prabhupada saw these South Americans chanting and dancing enthusiastically and worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what happened? Anybody know this story? Shrutakirti is a witness. He was right in front of Prabhupada, less than 6 feet away. What happened? He got sprayed as if from a hose. Where did that water come from? It came from Srila Prabhupada's lotus eyes. Like Pichakari, now in Holi. If you walk into Radharaman temple in Vrindavan and you don't know better, you're going to get it on Holi. So like a Pichakari, these tears were just shooting from Prabhupada's eyes. How many people have had that experience? Raise your hand. Yeah, none of us. Not one. Because we don't see that kind of love in this world. But it does happen. It is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's what he's talking about when he mentions all these symptoms in this very song. It has been seen before. It has been seen as recently as 50 or 60 years ago. And I know the people who saw it. I wasn't there. Shrutakirti, Prabhu, my neighbor, he was there. And it would not have been believed had he not been wet as a result. What kind of experience is that? So this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's begging from the Lord that you please give me that kind of taste, that kind of deep appreciation, that I can take shelter of your lotus feet like that and become an emissary on your behalf. And in fact, that's exactly what he did with his life, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We're still singing his songs 100 years later, over 100 years later. He lived in the early 20th century. Yeah, by 1914, I think everything was wrapped up in his life. So over 100 years, and we're still singing his song because he made an impact on his son. His son was whom? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was who? Srila Prabhupada's own guru. So he got it from his father, he gave it to his disciple gave it to us, and we're giving it to you. So this is the real purpose of taking birth in India. Bharata bhumi te hoilo manusya janme-janme janme-sharha-kari korapar. We've already discussed. This is why you take birth in India. And don't think you haven't been set up by Chila Guru Balaji, we were discussing earlier. How many people here have been, raise your hand if you've been to Chila Guru to get your visa. That's what he does. But it's a setup. It's a sting operation. You got your visa, you made it to America, and Hare Krishna! Welcome to ISKCON! Please step into this net. Prema Mahajala, the great network of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love for the jivas. How much love does he have for all of us? What is it described in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Tyaktva sudusya jasuretsita rajya-lakshmi paramishta arya-vachasa yadagar-ranyam maya-mrigam dayete yepsitam anuvadhavat vande mahapurushate charanarvindam. Anuvadhavat. What does it mean? Anudhavati. To run, to chase after someone. Who is he chasing after? All of us, whose eyes are fixed on the golden deer of this material world. Illusory material happiness, quality American dream. I was speaking with someone a little bit earlier today. Niagara Falls. That's part of the American dream, isn't it? Everybody, you cannot come here without visiting Niagara Falls. Unless you're from an Iyengar family. In that case, you head straight for Las Vegas and break every rule you can think of. But, Anuntavat, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not going to let you go so easily because he's here in Kali Yuga. He is the incarnation that happens in this age, according to Shastra, not just dogma or sentiment. It's in the Shastra. And he's chasing after all of us who are bewildered by, we're all Maya Mohita. And we're running after our respective dreams. And he's here to wake us up. And you get your green card through his agent, or his expansion, I should say, Visa Balaji. And now you're here. And you should understand that there's a purpose to all of this. And you should be intelligent enough. Yajanti hi sumedhataha. Bhagavatam says, those who are smart in Kali Yuga, they worship the Lord through performing Sankirtan. And he's praying like this. Nama-rasa-sar. Please give me some authority to take part in this marketplace of the holy name. Let me collect people's faith on your behalf, and let me give them the holy name as your representative. This is what he wants to do. You can do this. I used to tell them in Seattle, where I used to preach to them, people like Govinda-charan and his wife and others. They were all, IT engineers working for Microsoft. This is in the heyday of Microsoft Corporation in Redmond, Washington. And I used to tell them that, look, you people have the system requirements to run this software. When Americans try to take up Krishna consciousness, one of my godbrothers said it takes 10 years or more just to turn you into a bona fide human being because of the way that we're raised. No understanding of dharma. You may have the wrong conception of dharma, my friends. Every Indian pretty much does. Because we think dharma means to go to some mandir and worship Sai Baba, right? Or somebody else who is not the Supreme Lord. But at least you have any conception of dharma. You know that you have to go to a temple. And that's not there for many people. There are people nowadays about where you're headed. Think about where your association is taking you. Sangat sanjayate kama. Your association is what determines your desires. It might become attractive at some point in time. And maybe you can end up there. It's true. The karma is a tricky thing. Just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was tricky. So, Maya is also very tricky. And if you're not careful, you can end up in the most unsanguine circumstances that you cannot imagine. Anyway, Bhakti Vinod Thakur took care to pray like this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fulfilled his prayer. His son took up his mission seriously, spread it throughout the South Asian subcontinent, in and out of India, and his disciples spread it all over the world. And it's still going on. Even after half a century, Srila Prabhupada left in 1977, roughly half a century ago. And still this movement is spreading on. Still, every day people are finding out about Krishna consciousness. They're taking up the holy name. Khaskar India, man. It's off the charts in India how many people are taking to Krishna consciousness. I don't think they can even keep track of all the temples that are opening every day. There's a new one. But even here in, where are we now? Concord, North Carolina, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. We were in South Carolina last night. Tonight we're in North Carolina. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not forgotten, all of you. And you should definitely not forget him, because that's real love. If you want it, and we do want it, think about it. What if you can have everything in your American dream fulfilled? Think about that. You get that car, Your kids have a prestigious career, well settled, and they take care of you when you're old, because that often doesn't happen anymore, right? And, you know, all the popularity, and you can have the infinite money, also grand house you can have. In places like Beverly Hills, where people are still miserable, believe it or not. You can have all of that, but you cannot have love. Did you hear that part? No love. No love allowed. How do you feel about that? No, we don't want that. Of course not. So real love is available for free. You don't have to get all this stuff that we're chasing after. These are the things that we run after when we want to ignore love. When we want to ignore real love, spiritual love. My godbrother wrote a nice book. You know what he gave the title for his book, Dev-Amar-Goswami? His book is called Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. This is the motto of the conditioned soul. We're hiding in unnatural happiness. It is happiness that is foreign to us. It's happiness we don't really require. It's happiness, so-called happiness, is not really even happiness. Highly distracting, highly deleterious, very, it takes us into places, as we said already, we don't want to go. And yet we chase after these things. How many people are alcoholics? It's not just Hyderabad. Every 10 feet in Hyderabad, what do you see? It's either Sneha Fresh Chicken or it's Lakshmi Wine Store. I know. I've seen it, I know. So in America, it's even worse, aren't they? Because now there's drugs and there's all this stuff, and you can take advantage of all of it if you're foolish. And people do it every day, you see. So many stories I can tell you about Indians who come here and just blow it. And they really get stung by Maya. So better to take advantage of this process that is given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Harinama Sankirtana. And that's exactly what Bhakti Vinod prayed for. And he got his prayers answered. And it's come down to us in Parampara. You have to continue this. Are you going to sit here and listen to one of us talk to you? Who am I to speak these things? And we're all going to be dead in a few years. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Anyone recognize that name? Any economists here? Oliver Wendell Holmes. Sorry, not Oliver Wendell Holmes. My mistake. John Maynard Keynes. That should ring a bell if you're an economist. Huh? Yeah, John Maynard Keynes. Famous Keynes. Keynesian economics, no? So what did he say? About, we talk about long-term market strategy, short-term, all these things. What does he say? In the long term, we're all dead. He had that wisdom. He had the insight. It's so true. You don't know if it's happening even tonight, or maybe in a few weeks from now. Things happen like this. One of our friends in Los Angeles was driving home from work one day, and he's on the freeway in the middle of traffic, and his heart explodes. These things can happen, and other things even worse things can also happen. But everybody is going to die. Nobody gets out alive. Nobody. Now, before that big door slams shut again, and your choices are then removed, think about what you're doing here. Think about what life has to offer. Pariksha lokan karmichitan brahmana nirveda mayam nastikrata kritena tad vijnanartham samurum evadagachet samit pani shokrim brahmisham. We look around and see all the options that life has to tempt us, just like all the things that Yamaraj offered to, who is it? That boy. Not Sri-Krishna-Nama, what was his name? I forget, it's in the Upanishads. Kena Upanishad. He was cursed to go and see Yamaraj. Nachiketa, yes. So when he saw Yamaraj, Yamaraj is trying to tempt him with gold chains and, women and cars and all these things. And he said, well, I actually only want one thing. I want to know what's after death. What happens? Who am I? Yamaraj tried to dissuade him. He said, look, this question is like, people don't ask this question. But he said, I only want what I've asked for. And he appreciated this boy is smart. And so he told him this teaching about him again. So at least that much we should do while we're human beings, because you can only do it as a human being, right? These things are common to us and the animals. But what's unique about us that nobody else has? What is it? You all know this. Dharmasya hina pashubhis samana. The sense of dharma. Dharmendriya, the yoga school calls it. The sense, faculty for assessing dharma, that human beings have. And as we said, it can be perverted or effaced or, somehow tweaked and twangled beyond recognition, but it's there. And we should cultivate that, at least. Because then at least you become a human being again. But you can do a lot better than that. If you take to devotional service by chanting the holy name of Krishna, hearing from Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, then you can go back to Godhead. You can actually find that love that you're chasing unsuccessfully in this world. And then you can be happy forever. Why not do that while you can? Because you've only got a few years left. Time is ticking. And you don't know when you're going to be taken off. But you do know that you're going to be taken off. Everybody is. Mrityuhu sarva harasham, Krishna says. So, ayur harati vaikomsan jannastam chayannasao. Every rising and setting of the sun just removes more opportunity from us for this purpose. But if we take shelter of Uttama Shloka, the Lord who is praised in transcendental shlokas, then we can step on the head of death and go back to Godhead like Dhruva Maharaj did. When he died, what did he do? Does anybody know? Dhruva. The Vaikuntha airplane Vimanam came to pick him up, and there was death right in front of him, so he took his first step on death and hopped into the plane by stepping on the head of death. So we can do like that if we choose, but we have to choose now. The time is now. You cannot be put off until you're old. It doesn't, believe me, when you're old, you saw me, I couldn't even read the thing. The harmonium is not working. The rhythm section is not working. My voice is not working. Eyes are not working. Sometimes we don't have the greatest facility. But you're going to lose this opportunity, Zarur. Or I should say Kandipa for the Tamilians. But you're going to lose this opportunity. You should take advantage of it before you lose it. All right, so these are a few things we can think about here. And just in your own time, when you have time, you can study this song because he's saying some very deep things we don't really even have time to explain. But you may notice in the beginning of the song, he's talking about the process of removing these anarthas, beginning with offenses. And then later on, he's talking about all these devotional states that one can attain by pure devotion. And he's praying and hoping that he can attain this. This should be our own attitude as well. Kabe, Bolo, se-dina, amar. Please tell me, when will that day be mine? That all this transpires. The day will be yours when you take advantage, when you embrace the mercy of Srila Prabhupada in the form of these teachings and practice them. That's really what it comes down to. All right, anybody have any questions or any comments you want to speak about? Yes, way in the back.
So Krishna has said that if you follow Bhajan, as in if you follow Krishna or Vishnu, whatever you want, then you will attain heaven no matter what, right? Then how can we have?
Where does Krishna say that?
I can't
But you're sure he says it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else sure that he says that? No. Some people are shaking their heads, son. That means it's a problem. Anyway, finish your question.
Yeah, so why are so many people in hell? Oh, why are so many people in hell?
Why are so many people in hell?
No, so like the first part of the question and then why are so many people in hell?
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you.
So I don't know if Krishna said it or somebody just said it.
Somebody told you that if you worship Krishna, you go to heaven, right?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
if that's true, then why do so many people who worship Krishna go to hell?
Do people who worship Krishna go to hell? This is your assumption, it sounds like. Somebody want to help him out?
Yeah, he's asking if everybody, if people who worship Krishna can go to heaven, why are there people who worship Krishna still go to hell? Right?
Yeah. Well, no, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that those who worship me will come to me. Unless you offend him, which we unfortunately do sometimes. That we have to be careful. Otherwise, it's very simple. You simply chant Hare Krishna, you hear about Krishna, you practice devotional service, and you go back to Godhead. And that's different than going to heaven also. Because heaven is just a very, it's like a class A prison cell instead of a class B prison cell. So Svarga Loka, heaven, this is also in the material world, and Abrahma Bhavana Loka Punaravartinarjuna. People still take birth and still get diseased and still get old and die there, even in heaven. There's still suffering is there. But when you go back to Godhead, into the spiritual realm, then you don't suffer anymore. And Krishna says that those who take shelter in me, they will come back to me. But many people fail because they're not serious enough. That's what we have to watch out for. As I said, aparadha, that's why he's praying. Amar aparadha ghuci. Please cleanse me of all these offenses, because that's the only possible threat when we practice devotional service. That we do some things for Krishna, we do some things for ourselves. That becomes aparadha. Then you may have a problem, because sometimes Krishna wants to see that his devotee learns a tough lesson that he's maybe unwilling to learn. That can happen. But generally people who are suffering in hell or in some hellish circumstance, they're not the ones who are worshiping Krishna, they're the ones who are performing sinful activities which have to catch up to you sooner or later. It's like if you go into work tomorrow's Saturday. If you go into work Monday morning, you just punch your boss in the nose. There's going to be a reaction. He may not do anything immediately, but
You're fired.
Yeah, you will experience a reaction for that. So this is the thing we have to watch out. When we chant Hare Krishna and get Krishna's attention, then what are you going to do? Then you have to be very careful so as to not offend him. You've got the Supreme Lord's attention. You've got to be very careful about that. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think, yeah. Okay.
So I have a follow-up question to that. So
Yeah.
as conditioned souls, of course, we make offenses even unknowingly. So what can we do so that we can get Krishna's mercy and be forgiven for our offenses?
It depends on the kind of offense that we commit. There are different kinds of offenses. There are offenses to the deity, there are offenses to the holy name, there are offenses to the Lord's holy Dham, tirthas, there are offenses to his devotees, to the Guru. There are different kinds of offenses we commit. So we have different kinds of ways to rectify those offenses, depending on the nature of the offense and the severity of the offense also. The general principle is that you have to surrender to the person and beg forgiveness from anyone or that you've offended. And they will forgive you because they're by nature merciful. If you're sincerely apologizing and surrendering and agreeing to follow. Just like Jagai Madhai, Chaitanya Charitamrita. They committed every sin in the book, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgave everything. He just made the condition that don't do it again. And that's why I had told him, you know, if you fall again to your sinful activity, then who is there to help you? Of course, yeah, Krishna's mercy is always there, but sometimes he has tough love also. We need to learn some difficult lessons. Sometimes he has to put us through a process of attitude adjustment. Is that answering your question?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
One question,
Yes.
Guruji, for today's class session. With respect to the sadhana, right? So sometimes, since we are in IT, our sadhana, it's up and down. The graphs is
Since
up and
we
down.
are in IT, it's assumed that you can have a crazy schedule in IT. I used to spend every year, every winter in Singapore Township. Anybody from Hyderabad, you know where that is? It's not Gachibowli side, other side. Past the club. Sanskriti Township, they call it. You know what time those people wake up? 10 or 11 in the morning. I know about the IT schedule. So, your question.
So how to keep that graph constantly at one instead of going up and down?
Well, not being an IT professional, I really don't know what the challenges are. But, you know, you have to figure out what your priority is in life. And you have to somehow find a way to work in which you can sustain your sadhana. And
So we start our day with high, like getting up early and doing chanting. But as
And
the
by the nightfall, you're a demon again, right?
Yeah, demon.
Yeah, I know. I have mind also. But, yeah, I mean, the thing is that you may even stumble, you get messed up, your schedule gets wacko for some reason, for some time, but you just keep getting up and trying to resume your dedication. That's what dedication means, isn't it? That's what commitment is. That's what devotion means. You want to hear one of my favorite poems? This is from Robert Frost, English poem. You have to listen a little carefully because it's not your Matrabhasha most likely. He says, the ear can think of no devotion greater than being sure to the ocean, holding a curve in fixed position, counting an endless repetition. Now, I don't know what that meant to Robert Frost, but to me, it's obviously japa. So, you know, you have to somehow or other keep that vow, come what may. And just do not ever let it, do not neglect it. That's what it means to be serious. Somebody asked you, the Prabhupada once, how do I become serious? And Prabhupada answered, by being serious. You know how to be serious. Look at it this way. People don't always do what they say they're going to do, correct? We make promises or vows, and we don't fulfill them. But people unfailingly do what they want to do. Is it correct or is it not correct? What you really want, you will always do that thing. Always. It never fails. Not even once has anyone ever failed, I think. When there's a real choice. Unless you're deprived of your sanity or your whatever, But, yeah, this is the thing. You just have to be serious and get it done. It's a decision. It's not a realization. It's a decision. So that's what it means, devotion, commitment, dedication. It's So, just you stumble, you fall like a child learning how to walk, but you get up again and you keep trying. And, if it once you don't succeed, try again. That's the motto. So, and what's the best inspiration that you're going to get to do that? This is the real thing. Who can tell me? We kind of gave away the hint already when I said sangat, sanjayate kama. Yeah, you keep the correct association, you'll be kept in line. It's sometimes not so pleasing, but the devotees will let you know when you're when you're wandering off task. They will tell you, that's mercy. So keep association with more advanced devotees, like I said earlier, those whose faith is deeper than yours. Sajati ashaya sthitau sadhu sangha svatodare, Rupa Goswami says. The association has to be similar enough to you that you can relate. But the faith has to be deeper than yours, otherwise you don't get any benefit. And the person has to be kindly disposed, which means you have to do whatever it takes to make that happen. So these are the conditions that Rupa Goswami sets upon satsanga, and it's through such satsanga that we advance. Even if we don't have so much faith, if we associate with those who do, those who meet these three criteria, then we will make advancement most likely if we're sincere. Serious and sincere. If you look through all of Srila Prabhupada's letters, you'll find these two adjectives repeated again and again and again. Please be serious and sincere about Krishna consciousness. It's so simple. It is deceptively simple. We almost want it to be, more complicated because, we don't want to be serious and sincere. We'd rather be real strict or really, whatever we want. We're always looking for something else to be proud of, isn't it?
Thank you.
Is that helpful? Anything else?
As you told about the sincerity and seriousness, like though we have sincerity and seriousness, but because of so many rules in chanting or deity worship or whatever it is, people who are sincere and serious towards God also will be somewhat reluctant to do the thing. So my ask here is it mandatory to follow all the rules that are being told for that, or is it the sincerity or love towards Krishna is enough to progress in the bhakti?
Yeah. Good question. Everybody heard that? I think you're asking, is it enough just to be sincere and to persevere in bhakti, or do you have to follow all the little rules and regulations?
Yeah, because of the rules, some people feel reluctant or some...
Yeah, people get turned off by rules.
Yeah, by too many rules. So
too many rules, yeah.
I always have this question, why so many rules? Sincerity and love towards God is not sufficient, is my ask.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, what you're saying is correct. Sincerity and love for God, that is the main thing.
Yeah.
That's really the essence. There's a problem, though. The problem is that we don't have those things, right? We don't really have that much love for God, otherwise we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in. And we're not really always serious if we're honest with ourselves, we have to admit. Sometimes we're doing things that we know we should not do. Is it not a fact? It's a yes or no question. It's not a personal question, but you just consider that. So, this is the problem. Because we don't really have very much love for Krishna right now, and because we're not 100% even serious either, therefore all these rules and regulations are given because they actually help us. It's counterintuitive. We think that the more restrictions and rules and disciplines that we insert into our lives, then the more difficult and unpleasant our life will become. And there's some truth in that, some truth. But the fact of the matter is that all these rules and regulations are given by our acharyas because they help us become Krishna conscious. So if that's what we really want, then we can embrace them. And we will see the result very positively. So it's again, I asked in the beginning, who are you? What do you want? These two things we have to know at the very outset. If you're clear about these things, then you can make your decision. And it is a decision. But if we're not so sincere, then, we come up with some imaginary love of Godhead that we have, and, the rules and regulations are not so important. And, there is some truth in that, of course, I said. But really, if you're so much in love with God, why can't you follow His rules? It's simple, right?
Because of the material maya, we cannot follow.
Yeah, well, okay, that's immaturity. That's a different thing. It's true. In the beginning, because of immaturity, sometimes we fall, or sometimes we can't just, can't muster the strength from within ourselves to embrace all the discipline. That's okay. Hote. It will come gradually, depending on the association and on our sincerity. Rupa Goswami puts it very nicely when he says, Yena kena prakarena manaha Krishna niveshye. You adopt whatever means you have to fix your mind on Krishna. And then once your mind is attached to Krishna, then you can gradually introduce all the rules and regulations. But the ideal should be understood. Srila Prabhupada, well not Prabhupada, Krishna himself says in chapter 3, text 31, I think it is, of Bhagavad Gita, even if you cannot follow everything perfectly in the beginning, that's okay, as long as you're not envious of the principle, as long as you're not resentful of that ideal in principle, and as long as that ideal is clear to you, then gradually it will come. That's when we're dealing with immaturity. Problem is that we see that people who actually know everything, they know what to do, and they even may have the ability to do it, but still they choose not to do it. And then they make excuses and so many other things. That's a different animal altogether. Yeah, and that's why this question was there in the beginning. That's how your question. Somehow devotees, somehow they fall, or sometimes they end up having to see a bad future. It doesn't happen so much, but sometimes Krishna has to do this. He puts his devotee through difficulty just to teach him. Sometimes it happens, yes.
और एक भजन हो सकता है?
Yeah.
और एक भजन गा सकते हैं हमारे लिए?
Abhi?
हाँ.
You have to ask all them. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's request for वो.
Many Marthi said ठीक
हाँ,
रहेगा.
आपका मर्जी हाँ.
All right. First of all, any more questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The way you explained is so wonderful. It's so devotional. It's very crystal clear. I feel so blessed to be here. And in continuation to her question, Mataji's question, she asked about rules and regulations.
Yes.
I feel like if we have rules and regulations, then we are directed to the goal or whatever it may be. Krishna, I say, we will be directed in the right path.
Yes.
These rules and regulations will help us.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah. If there is no rules, if there is no regulation, we will be scattered with many things.
Like a boat without a rudder.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly. Because you will necessarily be carried by the modes of material nature, which are always shifting like the wind. No position. So yeah, it's helpful. Now, having said all this, there's another thing I should say here. That some rules and regulations are essential, and some of them are details. That's another important thing. Really essential things like, worship Krishna, chant his holy name, associate with devotees. These things you cannot neglect. You will not advance if you neglect these things. But other things like, don't wear the color red in the temple, or, just small things, that's not so important. So we have to get a sense of discrimination also. And that usually is taken care of because we're also advised to take shelter of older people, more experienced devotees, more advanced devotees, who can tell us. But that's just good to note that as a matter of principle. Okay? Is that all right? Thank you for your compliment. All praise to Srila Prabhupada.
One question.
Oh, another one. I don't see where it's coming from. Time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the beautiful bhajan. It was so melodious. You took us to the mood of Saranagati.
This is the old melody, the traditional melody, which, mind you, nobody sings anymore. I know because today I went on YouTube looking for it. Nobody sings it. Anything under the sun they'll sing, but not the traditional thing.
That's like greater appreciation, Prabhuji. So the
Somebody has to do it, no? Otherwise, we change the trajectory of our sampradaya, don't we? If we change anything, that's, it's on our head. So
the question is in the bhajan, the first phrase it was mentioning, it's only due to the anarthas we don't have taste for the chanting holy name. So to come out of the anarthas, the only solution is to take shelter of the holy name. So it's like the trap. So because of the anarthas, we are losing the taste for chanting, and we don't have the strength to take complete shelter of the holy name to come out of the anarthas. So like maybe some practical tips and experiences.
yeah, well, the practical tip is that you follow the rules and regulations more strictly. Because they help us. They have an effect on our consciousness. When our consciousness is changed thereby, the tendency to commit offenses is much less. The tendency to hold on to our narcas is reduced. And we can actually take better shelter. That's the whole point. So we more strictly follow as much as we can, but how do you get that inspiration when you're a conditioned soul, and especially a neophyte devotee? You have to take shelter of satsanga. Satsanga. Just like we can sing this song. You all know Bhajan?
Yeah.
So we can sing.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know where the boy went, but I need to go.
He's coming. He's coming.
And we have to clean up the rhythm section also. Someone can find the words.
आया नहीं वो आया नहीं प्रभु is Nima here? Yes, sir. Is outside. अब इधर और फोन में सीधा ये मुझे 90% आता है 10% Can you come? Can you come? Can you come? Yeah, he's calling you. We're not going to continue without the drummer. What? Calling? Putra
This is a song by Kaviraj. Great Sharjah, as his name suggests. He was famous as a poet, even in his lifetime. We said last night, well, we didn't say, somebody else said it. I don't know who said it. Well, we're not even listening, so you can hang up and take this song, I guess. Okay? So, all glory to Shri Guru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a wonderful kirtan, nice bhajans, and an excellent class. Thank you so much. And, His Grace Mukunda Prabhu ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning we have a book distribution seminar by Kautukarna Prabhu. He has come from ISKCON Silicon Valley. So that is one of the book distribution where they do like very massive scale. So he's coming to do a seminar to help us understand how to distribute Bhagavad Gita on its own merit. So we have that seminar tomorrow in Manoj Prabhu and Mostly Mataji's home in Harrisburg. From morning 9:30 to 12:30 we will have a session, and then we'll have lunch, and then we are going to the Freedom Park to do the practical session. So they will actually do the book distribution and we can see. So it will be like many of us are doing the distribution, but we can learn some of these techniques and see how we can do better. And also please Srila Prabhupada and spread the book distribution here. Like Prabhuji was saying the other day, only one intoxication we can have, or devotees, that's the book distribution. I saw that quote, Prabhu, very nice. Yeah, you said it today, so thank you so much. I sent it in our Sankirtan group. So, and then Sunday morning, we have a special program in Sushma Mataji's home here. His Grace Baladev Prabhu is coming morning 10 a.m. He is coming from Chowpatty. He is one of the book distribution coordinators in Chowpatty. He is a disciple of Ramnath Maharaj. He comes every year. So this year he is coming. We have two programs. Sunday morning in North, in Sushma Mataji's home, 10 to 12:30. And evening is the Sunday program. And that's going to be in Valentine, in Jai Govind Prabhu's home, 4:30 to 7. So please come for that. And next week, we have many more programs. Haripashad Prabhu is coming. He's one of the Shastri Advisory Council like Prabhu. And we met him in Sadhu Sangha. He comes also every year. So we have a program on Wednesday and Thursday next week. So one program in South and one in North. So in Krishna Prabhu's home it is there in Harrisburg. So we have the flyers sent. And the next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Chandramouli Maharaj is coming. So we have programs on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So Sunday is going to be, we are celebrating Pani festival on Sunday. So that's going to be a picnic in Charlotte. So we are going to celebrate it in a park as well as the Pani festival. So a lot of programs coming in the next 1 week because of we have a lot of these devotees are coming from Sadhu Sangha. So some of them are coming here and others are going others. So please, whatever you can come, please come, take association of Maharaj and devotees, and then we will have a very nice program. So, thank you so much. Now we can sing the
Mahapasade Govinde, Namo Brahmani Vaishnave, Namo Brahmani Vaishnave, Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan, Swalpa Punyavatam Rajan, Vishwasune Vijayate, Vishwasune Vijayate, Sharira Vidyaja, Sharira Vidyaja, Jodendriya Tareka, Jodendriya Tareka, Kripa-bale Shaya Sakale, Kripa-bale Shaya Sakale, Taramate Jivati, Mati, Lobomaya Starmati, Take Jitaka Dina Samsare, Krishna Borodoyamai, Karibare Jiva Jai, Swaprasada Nadilobai, Seyanamrita Pav, Radha Krishna Guna Gav, Preme Dakoshi Chaitanya Nitai, Jaini Mai Jainitai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai